Good afternoon. Welcome to people just joining us. We're just pausing whilst we allow people to have time to join the webinar. Thanks for your time. So we'll just have a couple of minutes whilst we give time for people to join. We'll start shortly. Good afternoon again. We're just giving chance for people to join. I can see the numbers starting to ramp up. So thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're just letting people join us and we'll start shortly. Okay, numbers seem to have slowed down joining us. Hello, welcome to the webinar this afternoon. I'm David Beer. I'm a Senior Engagement Manager at Transport Focus. Thanks for your time joining us today for a webinar, which is part of our series on your bus journey. Just to mention that this is being recorded. We'll make the recording and slides available afterwards. So today's agenda, as you see there, we'll be focusing on the data, mainly looking at the Your Bus Journey dashboard. And I'll hand over to my colleague Jags, who's our Insight and Evidence Executive, to talk in more detail about the dashboard shortly. And we'll have time for questions as well. So please put questions in the chat as we're going through, and we'll pick them up at the Q&A point. We'll also hear from a real life example from our guest Jade Cox from Cheshire West and Chester on how they're using the data. And then we'll touch on our other different site, it has to be said, and we also have a public data hub as well as the dashboard. And the data hub is where the end of year results for all areas are weighted and uploaded alongside our other tracking surveys, and they're made available publicly, which is different to the Your Bus Journey dashboard that we're going to be mainly focusing on today. So if you could just move on to the outline of the survey as well, just to recap on this. The Your Bus Journey is a survey that asks passengers to tell us about the aspects of the whole bus journey they're making. Field workers approach them at main bus stop clusters and on board, which gives us the representative sample of specific experience that they're having. The 2025 fieldwork finishes at the end of December, with final reports being published in March. Interim reports have already gone out for the midpoint in the year. And just to note that we're moving the start of next year's survey to an April start, and from there on it'll align with the financial year. So as the data builds in the Your Bus Journey dashboard, the survey progresses throughout the year, and that is a picture of how the trajectory is progressing. So areas can see those results build from the survey on a 4-weekly basis. And participating authorities have access as part of the package that they pay for with up to 5 logins. They don't all have to be for authority use. There's a place for thinking about operators maybe having one. So we know that not everyone joining us today is from an authority, but we would encourage sharing of the data within partnerships, and hope that today's session will also be useful for operators to see what's in there that authorities are seeing as the data builds, to be able to support those conversations within partnerships. So I'll hand over to Jags Lotter, our Insight and Evidence Executive, to focus on the dashboard. Thanks, Jags.
Thanks, David. So yeah, I'm going to go through the dashboard and data hub in more detail, mainly the dashboard. We'll cover the data hub, but we'll do another session on the data hub in spring once the 2025 data goes up. So we'll focus more today on the dashboard so you can get more out of it. So very quickly, as David said, the key thing to remember is the dashboard and the data hub are completely separate, and the way you access them is completely separate as well. And I'll go through how you access each of them shortly. I've got some slides which I'm going to go through very quickly, but the main thing I want to do is actually get onto the dashboard and start showing you how to use it and get the most out of it. So just some things to cover off with the dashboard and data hub. So the dashboard has 2025 rolling data. So if you want to see anything 2025, the dashboard is the place to go. It's updated every 4 weeks with that period's data. The data on there is unweighted. If you want to know more about what unweighted and weighted is, I've put a couple of definitions there, so just makes it a bit clearer. It's also got a document library on the dashboard, which has webinars from previous years, user guides, and it's also got the total England and total Scotland PDF reports for 2025. So if you want to see the combined scores for total England, total Scotland, then that will be in the document library. We've also got a quarterly data time selection, which we've added this year as well. So I'll go through that as well. And we do recommend looking at the data quarterly. So the data hub, as David said, it's got published data from all our surveys, but the main one is obviously we're going through today is your bus journey. It's got the 2023-2024 data on there. You'll be able to see all the areas and all the countries, all the data for them. It's weighted data, and you can switch off the weighting, but that's, the main thing is the default is that is weighted data. And then finally, there's more features on the data hub as well. There's increased filtering. There's coded passenger comments. There's an advanced analysis as well, so you can do custom tables. So going into the features of the dashboard and the data hub, there's similar things, but there's also differences as well. So I've got a few slides. I'll go through the similar things and then also talk about what's on the dashboard, what's not on the data hub, and then vice versa. So on the the commonality, so with the dashboard and data hub, you can have a login for both of them. To access it, you can have a login access. The dashboard, like David said, there's up to 5 for each area. The data hub, the only difference is that you can also access it via guest, and that's generally how I tend to access it as a guest. Even though I have a login, majority of features are accessible as a guest. There's a previous year's data, which is on both of them, has the top lines, there's passenger comments, there's filtering, you can export data in slides. With both of them, there's unweighted data, although the default for the data hub is weighted. With the dashboard, it's managed by the research agency. It has rolling 2025 data. So like I said, that's your main point to go for 2025. It's updated at approximately every 4 weeks. And then you've also got those total England, total Scotland PDFs. With the data hub, the next update is going to be in spring. And like I said, we're going to do another webinar going through the data hub so you can get the most out of that when the 2025 data comes live. And then finally, with the data hub, what features available on there? So it's managed by Transport Focus. You've got guest access, which gives you the majority of the features. There's more detailed results. You can see all the areas, all the countries, all regions. The data is weighted, and that's the default. You've got advanced analysis, and within that, there is things like reducing base sizes and saving your analysis as well. So actually moving into the demonstration part, I'm going to share my screen for this. Give me a second. I should have switched over. Are we good? Can we see that? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, so the dashboard. So this is what the dashboard looks like. So before I go into it and log in, just a quick handy tip. So whenever you open your browser, it just happens I've gone onto the Microsoft. When I open it, I've saved it as a bookmark. It's in my bookmarks bar up here, so you should be able to see my mouse when I'm just circling. And also, if you do want to add it as a bookmark, just click on the little star, follow the instructions, and you can add it to wherever you need to. So you've got quick access to it. I'll just come out of that. I've also saved my login as well, so I can quickly get into it without having to remember my login. I'll sign in. So there is a lot of data on here. So it does take a bit of time to load between the pages and also when you're logging in. And you'll see that as I'll go through the different pages. So this is the home page when you first log in. On the home page, you'll have overall satisfaction, value for money charts. You've got your overall satisfaction pie chart. You've got your data periods as well for the overall satisfaction. And you can look at the bars for each of the data periods. And with the charts itself, as you hover over them, it's quite handy because it just shows you what you're looking at. You can see it says very satisfied there. If I go to the red one there, it's very dissatisfied. And it's same over here. So the actual key itself, it gives you the key on each of the charts. If I hover over it, I can just see each of the individual bars of what I'm looking at. Comes very handy over here because if you look at the bottom two, quite difficult to see what the percentages are. But if I hover over fairly satisfied, you can start to see the percentages. Same with dissatisfied as well. It makes it just a little bit easier to view it. With those as well, these individual panes, there's some features at the bottom in the individual panes. So if I click on the data, so just at the bottom, I've got chart, data, gives me the scores in a non-chart format. And then if I click on this little question, gives me a bit more information, the question text, base sizes, and if you're doing any filters, it's just got this thing here, site filters, and it tells you what filters you've got running on there as well, if you do have anything. But I'll go through the features a bit later. With the actual menu, so at the top left, you've got 2023 and 2024, so you can have a look at that as well. With the 2025, if you click on 2025 on the top left, you've got overall satisfaction, value for money. That's your home page. You've got some key measures. I won't go into every single page because it does take a bit of time to load and it will take a bit longer. But just to go through it, you've got key measures. You've got detailed journey, which is your bus stop ratings, bus arrival, on the bus, then bus driver. Then you've got bus services in general, passenger comments, aborted journey comments, which is basically comments where anybody who wasn't able to travel on the bus for whatever reason on their journey, they can leave the survey a little bit early, but before they do, they just fill in a comment of what happened on that particular journey, why they weren't able to get a bus. So there's some comments there for that. And then finally, I'll go for the document library. So just before I do that, I'll just click onto one of the other pages just so you can see what it looks like. All the charts look very similar. You've got pie charts on this, bar charts. Some are vertical, as you can see here, while it's loading, and then some are just horizontal. You might have an overall chart at the top, and then it gives you further breakdowns as you go down. So for example, on here, we've got ease of getting local amenities. The top chart there on the left will correspond to that. And then you've got connections with other forms of public transport, which corresponds to the second one there. And again, it works in the same way as the front. Just clicking hover over it, and it will just show you what is selected, and you can see the percentages. Going into passenger comments. So this page is a bit different with the charts. It's just loading. So when I come into here, obviously I can see all the areas. Top left here, I can see there's just over 30,000 comments at the moment for all areas. This also includes Scotland as well, so I've got everything filtered. And then on this right, you've got a control panel, and you can do different things on here. So I'll go through each individual one. So on here, you've got a search filter. So if I want to see comments for bus drivers, you just type in bus driver, click on apply, and then it's filtered it from 30,000. It's found just over 1,500, and it's highlighted bus driver where it's been mentioned. So good, nice feature there. So if you want to type in anything there, you can find individual comments. So I'm just going to take that filter off. Just deleted it, hit apply, and then we're back to the 30,000 comments. You can filter by area. I can see obviously more than one area, but for yourselves, you can only see your own area. Some might see a few more, and you can just filter on that if you can see a few more. But I won't go into the area. But with operators, there's operators as well, so you can filter by operator. So for example, if I wanted to filter by, in this case, let's say Arriva, you've got your time periods as well. So this is from the beginning of the survey this year and to the end, or up until the current data period. But if I just wanted to select a period, let's say from the end of March up until, let's say, the end of July, just hit apply on that. I've put some filters on. It's reduced the number of comments for Arriva to just over 1,600. And then I can export this as well. So if I hit the export button, which is just here, I'll export it out. But what I've done is I've already exported something out, and it just looks like this. Just exactly as you would see, but just in Excel. So that's passenger comments. The aborted journey comments looks exactly the same, but there's less comments in this. The filters are completely separate. So even though you run filters on the passenger comments, it won't come across over to this. So you need to run the filters again. So it's completely separate. So there's a lot less in here for all the areas, 237, but it works in the same way as the passenger comments. You've also got the document library. I'm going to go into this. You've got the previous documents for previous years, 2023, 2024. There are webinar sessions as well from previous years, which you can access. For this year, 2025, you've got your questionnaire. So when I click on questionnaire, just at the bottom here, you'll see the questionnaire comes up. It's in Word format, and then you can download with the actions just here. The user guide. You've got the total England reports, which are PDFs. So there's a few of them there. You've also got the total Scotland as well. So with these reports, they're in PDF, but again, just to download it, under actions, just click one of the buttons of the one that you want to download, and it will download. So coming back to the home page, I'll just go through filters. So in the top right, you can see my name, Jags. You click on that. It's got a couple of pages there that it will go to, profile and about. I never use this, so it's not something that you need to worry about. But it's just something that happens to be features on this dashboard. But you don't need to worry about it. It's also got who else is on this dashboard at the moment. So there are some other users on here apart from myself. The actual filter and the export, which is around deck builder, and I'll go through that shortly. So going into filters, so I've just clicked that filter button. You've got all the various filters which will filter these charts, and it works on every single page. So whatever page you're on, you'll come to this filter menu, and then you can start to select and break the data however which way you want to do it. First thing I want to show you though is what I mentioned earlier was a quarterly filter. So you've got time selection. The default is 3 or 4 weeks. You've got quarterly. You select quarterly, hit apply. We'll think about it, and then it comes up with quarterly. So at the moment, we've got 3 quarters. I'm going to go back to, or just very quickly, actually, the from and to as well. Because it's quarterly, these reduce. So if I go back to 3 or 4 weeks, it's loaded. Now there's more data periods for me to select. So just to demonstrate, I've got 3 to 4 weeks. I'm just going to put on a data period like before. You've got your areas. I'm going to select an operator, various different operators. I'm just going to go select Stagecoach in this case. You've got ticket types, free, other, and paid. Time of boarding, whether it's peak, off-peak, weekends. Got the journey types, whether it's leisure or for work. You've got the ages, and then gender. Additional filter here, which I won't go through, it's for a specific area, so I'll leave that off. But just on this, I'm going to hit apply on this. And then you can see it's reduced the number of bars from what it was previously with all the periods. And it's just showing the Stagecoach in this case for all across England and Scotland. So that basically just covers the filtering aspect as well. Good tip to know is, depending on how you're looking at the dashboard, I'm on a big screen at the moment, so you can see everything fairly clearly. But if I'm on my laptop, I have to be out and about. I don't have a big screen. What you might find, I'm just going to just sort of simulate it. It might look like this, for example, very zoomed in. And then when you click on the filter, you can't see the apply and clear. Some of the filters are missing. So what you'll find is if you can scroll on the actual menu, it can scroll on the main page. So I'm hovering in the middle of the page right now, and it's moving up and down the page. I'm hovering over the actual menu, it moves the menu, and then you can see clear and apply. You can do it that way. It's a bit fiddly. The best thing, what I recommend, is actually zooming out. So normally your default will be about 100. What I would say is drop down to like 80, 90, 70, whatever is, and then whatever works for your screen. Let's say in this case is 80, and then you can see the full menu and you can see the buttons. So it's just something to keep in mind. So I'm just going to go back to 100 on this. So if you're wondering why some filters are missing or buttons are missing, it's probably because of that. You just need to zoom out to see it. And then finally, I'm just going to go through Deck Builder. So there's 3 different ways you can export from the dashboard. So you can either do an individual chart. So if I'm going to focus on this overall satisfaction chart just here on the left-hand side, you've got these 3 lines. This button here has got 3 lines. That's your menu button for this particular chart. You can add to Deck Builder, which I'll show you shortly, or you can just export this one chart into PowerPoint, or you can export it into Excel. So just to show you what that looks like, I did do one earlier. So it would just look like this. You've got a couple of intro slides, and it would look like this. If you had more slides, then those extra slides will show as well. So that's just very quickly going through that. So that's just that individual slide. If you wanted to download different slides from this page, what you would do would, different charts from this page, you would say, let's in this case, add to the Deck Builder. But on the right-hand side, it's got exports and it's 0 at the moment. I've just added that one, and it will change to 1. So now it says export 1. I'm going to add one more chart onto this. So I'm going to pick this one here. Again, 3 buttons there, add to Deck Builder. And then I'm going to scroll up. You see it's 1. It's going to become 2 shortly while it thinks about it. There you go. So I've got 2 charts added. When I click onto exports, I have little some text here, which is just saying what's exporting. You need to click on this export button here, and it will take you to the Deck Builder. You've got 2 charts in the Deck Builder now. So say now I've got these 2 charts and I want to remove, okay, I don't need this bottom chart anymore. I want to take this one out. So you can remove, so it's got the menu across the top. And at the end one, it says remove. There's a little X button there. Click on the X. Come up with a little a message at the top. Click OK. And just remove that chart. If I wanted to export this chart, just above remove, there's a little download button just on the right. You can export to PowerPoint like I showed earlier, or you can export to Excel, which will look, done this earlier as well. They look a bit like this. It'll be different tabs. So you've got a little intro tab, and then it will have just the Excel data, not the chart. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So that's how you can export, and then you can also clear as well. So you might have a massive list of charts here. So to clear them all, just click on clear exports. It'll clear it all out, and now that's empty. So what I'll do is I'll show you now how to export a whole page worth of charts. So there's a quicker way to do that as well. So we've got 6 charts on here. There's a little toggle just under exports, just a button right there. Click on that, add to deck builder, and it'll add all of those 6 charts. So now you can see exports and it says 6. I'm going to go to another page because there's something that I do want to show you. I'm going to add these charts. So there's a lot more on this one. I'm going to add this to deck builder. Should go up to about 15. I was just thinking about it. So now there's 15. So when I click on exports now, it's got this whole list of all the charts, but that export button is missing at the bottom. What you need to do is scroll down and then it will show. So again, just keep that in mind when you're exporting. Click exports. It'll have all the different charts. Like I said before, you can remove one. So let's say I want to take this one out. There was 15. Click OK at the top. There's now 14. You can see the number on the left, how many charts are in there. So there's now 14. And like I said before, just above remove, you can export to PowerPoint, export to Excel, or I can just clear everything and everything has disappeared. And that basically covers the dashboard. So before I go into questions, I do have another slide that I just want to go through.
Jax, there's one question where you were still on it. That's can you put current year's quarters and previous year's data onto one graph, or would you have to build that up?
Oh, so you need to do that separately.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Come to.
Yeah. So just quick. This will only show 2025 when you're in the 2025 section. If you want to do previous years, you have to go for 2024, go to overall satisfaction or whichever chart you're looking at, and then it will have the 2024, and it will be the same for 2023. Perfect. Any other questions while I'm on the dashboard? Nope. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to the slides. But just some common questions that might come up. Just want to go through this. So with the speed of uploading, it does take a bit of time to go through all the data. There's paper questionnaires we need to go through. There's cleaning of comments. So we do read all the comments. And we also clean the data as well. So there is a bit of a time lag for that particular period before it goes on. So something just to keep in mind. With missing data, so in the charts where it's got the bars, you've got the vertical chart. Sometimes there might be data periods, data missing from those periods. What the minimum sample that you need for data to show is 30. If it's below 30, then that bar won't show. And the reason why that's might be less than 30 is, well, for whatever reason, for that data period, there just might not have been enough questionnaires filled out for that data period. So that's why that's missing. It just happens to be less. but you can see that actually. I'll go back to that shortly, and I'll show you that when I go on before I go to the actual data hub. But you can see the base sizes in there as well. But moving on to the next one, so sharing data with operators, 100% we do encourage you to do that. Like David mentioned earlier, if you do want to set up an operator as part of your 5 logins with a login, then 100% you can do that. And then also reporting to DFT areas, required to share the results of DFT, but Sistra do have access to the dashboard, and they do share that with DFT as well. So while Sistra do that, there's no, that you definitely have to send those over to DFT, because Sistra tend to do that. That's just something to keep in mind as well. Based on that, are there any questions?
Hi, Jag. So there was one other question from Donnellan, who might want to say it herself, but she was, or they were asking how we obtain data for a specific area within our region. So if the operator doesn't work, can you do it by bus route, or is there any other way to get area, or is it just if there's an extra question asking about area? Do we feel?
So I'm going to share. Let me share my screen again.
Donnellan, you might want to explain it better than I've just explained your.
Yeah, because the way I'm understanding that, and maybe I need just a bit more info. With the area, I've not gone into that, but if you're looking at your area, it will just default to your area. If you've got more than one area within your, say, your region or your authority area, then you can select whichever one it is that you want to look at. I don't know if that answers the question.
There's nothing else within the area, is there? Because
so
the local area, that's just for that's one area where they've got one of their extra bespoke questions, but you wouldn't be able to do it. No, because you can't do it on bus route or anything like that, can you?
No, you can't do bus route. So just the filters that I've gone through on here, those are the only ones you can see. Data Hub, like I said, has got more functionality, so you might be able to do that, but that'll be on 2024, 2023. Becky.
Hiya, I just saw Donnellan's follow-up question where she said it was when you were looking at the local area tab at the bottom that you've got at the moment. We do have one local authority area on the survey at the moment, which asks a question that they pay for, where we ask the respondent which area of the total authority area they are in, and so that allows that particular local authority area to filter on specific areas within their area, but that is specific to one local authority area who is choosing to pay for that as one of their extra questions. So it's only possible if you're asking it as a separate question. I hope that clears it up.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think that does. So actually, I just wanted to double check. You said you can't. Is there a way to filter by route or not? I think you said there wasn't, because that would be another potential way of doing it. If group the routes that we know where around clusters it's for a particular area.
No, you wouldn't be able to do it by a bus route.
Okay, thanks.
Have you got any other questions?
Just, I think one of the points, and again, thanks to people that have filled in the questionnaire that we sent out, asking for your frustrations as well as how you use the data. One of the things that we're looking at is how we can develop the functionality of the dashboard. So these points are all useful for whether we can or can't do those sorts of things in the future. So it gives us something to look at as well.
Yeah. Just quickly before yeah, so if you're looking at for the data periods, it does give you the base sizes for that data period. So it's just got the date here, and then right next to it is just the base size, just something keep in mind as well. Okay, if there's no more questions. Go back to the slides. I'm going to hand over to Jade. She's got a real life example of how she uses the dashboard and then the data hub, which I will go into more detail on later on.
Thank you very much. Can everyone see and hear me okay? My Teams is a bit, yeah, doesn't like me today. Thank you. Yeah, so my name's Jade Cox, Senior Transport Planner at Cheshire West and Chester Council. We use both the dashboard and the data hub on a semi-regular basis. I just wanted to talk through how we use it. So for the dashboard, sort of the primary function is to generate presentations using the deck builder, and I've learned something today that there is a add all button, so that's going to save me time. But to create some presentations that we then share in our enhanced partnership meetings and our enhanced partnership forum meetings. So we sort of share our progress to date, and it helps to inform any discussions and where sort of improvements can be made to services or customer experience. So that's been really helpful. And we also use it to monitor current year performance against our BSIP satisfaction target. So we've got a 90% target at the minute, and I think we're on 92 year to date, which is really good. But it helps us see where we can improve in year as well. And we also export some of the data for reporting. So as you can see on the right hand side there, it's just a screenshot of our BSIP document. So we exported some of the data and created some bullet charts. So it shows sort of journey satisfaction compared from 2023 to 2024 and where we're at in meeting our target. So that proved really useful. And we've captured some of the insight from the dashboard and put it into the document too. Sorry, I'm moving through the slides. I'm not sure if they're moving with you. Carry on. And then finally, the data hub. So just a whistle stop tour on this. So we track year-on-year progress. So we use sort of the dashboard on the data hub for this, but it helps us measure against key performance indicators that we've got in our BSIP, and it's really helpful to filter the data that's been mentioned. So we've had some requests from DFT and other stakeholders to share some feedback on, fair payer versus non-fair payer responses, and those with a disability, how sort of journeys are being reported, whether they're good or not. And then recently started to use a cross analysis tool and want to use it a little bit more to explore some of the drivers behind our results. So there's a screenshot there of sort of the cost and age groups, starting to see that some of the younger demographics aren't as satisfied with cost of journey, so we can start to delve a little bit deeper into why that might be. But yeah, very quick whistle stop tour, but we've found it a really useful tool, both of them. Thank you.
Thanks, Jade. So I'm going to go to a very quick data hub demonstration. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. So there's the main, so obviously accessing the dashboard, I've gone through that. The data hub, the way you can access the data hub. So I've just done very simply, I've just gone into Google. I've typed in transport focus. I'm just going to dumb it right down. Click into transport focus. You go on the home page, and on the top right, it's got the data hub, and you can click on the data hub. So if you haven't got it saved as a bookmark, that's a very easy way to get to it. And this is what it looks like. What you might find, if you do, it does time you out as well. So if it does time you out, you'll come into a page which looks like this. Or if you've got it saved like I have, it tends to come to a page like this first. You've got the login, access as a guest, or timed out. Most of the time, I just use it as a guest. I hardly ever use it as a login to use it. Majority of the features you can access as a guest. So yeah, it's a really good tool. So as a guest, like you get a lot of functionality. So I'm going to go into your bus journey. I'm just going to quickly go through what it looks like and what's available on here. So when you click into your bus journey. I'll go to the headline results. So at the moment, it's just highlighted headline results. So you've got a slide here, which you can export. If you click onto this little toggle, it gives you the option to export here. And then it gives you breakdown. So you've got overall satisfaction, value for money. Then you've got different separate pages, overall satisfaction, value for money, etc. So you've got different pages here breaking things down. You've got passenger comments. So a bit more functionality on the passenger comments. So just as well, there's more filtering available on here as well. So as Jade mentioned, you've got things like disability. You've got, whether it's city, town, village, countryside, etc. So with the passenger comments, as I was saying, more functionality on there for searching. It's also got coded comments. So in this case, it's a positive comment for punctuality. So you do have some coding on there as well. Same thing, it works for aborted journey comments, but it's called slightly different. Those who did not board the bus, this slightly different name, but you've got some similar functionality as you've got for the passenger comments. But yeah, but these ones are not coded. Also, you can do some comparing on here as well. So you've got 2 pages where you can do that. I'm just going to click on one of them. So it looks slightly different because you've got the filters, but then you've got this extra bit at the bottom where you can filter, where you can compare. At the moment, it's comparing with these 4 selected time periods. So you've got the total, and then it's got these 4 time periods, and it's comparing those 4 time periods. But if I take that off, I do no selection, and I update that, it will just give me the total bar. So very similar to the dashboard, the way the charts look, they're very simple charts. It's got the menu at the bottom, and then it will give you the scores. And then also, it gives you the overall score, which is your top 2 boxes, very satisfied and fairly satisfied. It also does that on the dashboard as well. That's something I forgot to mention. So it's the same thing on the dashboard as well. It's got the score at the end, which is normally the two top boxes. So in this case, I've taken off those filters. If I just wanted to add something, let's say I want to do a couple of areas, because it's 2024 data, this is published, so you can view this. So you can go in there right now and do this. At the moment, it's on filter, so I'm going to keep it on filter. I'm going to update. You've got the scores here. You can see it. I'm going to update. The scores have changed because it's only looking at those 2 areas. But if I do compare and then I update it, it adds in the total, which is your overall total, and then it breaks it down, Cornwall and then Greater Manchester. So that's something to, some pages there which are quite handy. And again, you can export this chart and put it into your deck. And then finally, just want to go through advanced analysis. Works quite similar to pivot tables. It looks like this. And you just basically drag and drop. So you put questions up here, anything that you want to see in terms of variables, and then some filters. So I'm just going to do a very basic one. I'm going to put year. So just drag and drop it over here. I've got 2 selected. When I click on that, I can select 2024 and it goes orange. You click outside the box and now 2024 is selected. If I want to go back and select both, I can do all. I can do 2023, 2024. Just select out, so I'm going to keep it on that. I'm going to put in overall satisfaction. So I'm just going to drag and drop it here. So it's got very satisfied, fairly satisfied, all the different options. Again, I can select the ones that I want to see. So if I just want to see all satisfied, I can just select all satisfied and it will just show that. But in this case, I'm going to show all of them. And then I can generate this table and it will just show me just overall satisfaction scores. But you can put in some variables, which I'm going to put in. I'm just going to put in region. I'm going to select a couple of regions. Oh, actually, sorry, let's not do region. I'm going to do local authority area. Just very randomly, I'm going to select Greater Manchester because I can see it. And in this case, oh, sorry, I'm going to do City of York. But when you select multiple, you need to hold the control button on your keyboard. Greater Manchester, Cornwall. I'm just going to put Blackpool as well. So I selected some areas, held the control button, selected them, clicked outside. You can now see it says 4 of 93. Generate the table, and then it will export a table like this. You can export this by you've got this a menu here with some options, export to Excel, and then you can do some analysis on there. You can freeze panes, transpose, so you switch around the rows and columns. So there's some other features, and one of the things I mentioned earlier is switching off the weight. So at the moment it's got the weight that's selected, and you can switch that off as well. And that's your advanced analysis. Just very quick demonstration on that, and also just the data hub. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, come back to the slides, and just take any questions. Was that a question that came in? Wasn't able to see it.
So it's from Becky Davis, and it says, is there a way of exporting all of the data to run your own analysis?
Is that within the advanced analysis, what I showed? Okay. I'll show that once more. So I can share my screen again. So with that table there, so whatever you run in this advanced analysis, when you go to generate table, usually when you hit generate table, it will just take you to this tab over here. Then there's a button here, it just says export to Excel. So in this case, I'll do it. I'll just export it. Come out as an advanced analysis. I'll just open that up. Just thinking about it. And it will look like this. Then you can do more analysis on this within Excel. I hope that answered the question.
I've just opened up Becky's mic, so in case you wanted to further that question.
Yeah, hi. Actually, what I meant was all of the data behind the survey. Is there a way of just exporting it all so you can run your own analysis on the bit that you subscribe to yourself?
You know, I've never had to do that myself. I don't think there is an option for that. I think Becky.
Yeah, we've not been asked before, I don't think,
yeah.
But we potentially, it's probably worth having, contacting our email or having a conversation with David and myself about it. We haven't done it, but that doesn't mean we couldn't.
Okay, no, that's great. Thank you. It's just if there were things that, for example, weren't necessarily achievable through the advanced analysis, that would be a way of perhaps getting around it if there were specific questions. I was just wanting to see how much flexibility there was. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I think that covers everything on the data hub, unless there's anything last minute that comes in. And that just comes to the end of my demonstrations. David, over back to you.
Thanks very much, Jags, and thanks very much for running that informative session, and also particularly to our guest Jade Cox for a really useful whistle-stop insight of how they use the dashboard and the data hub practically. As Jags mentioned, that has been quite a quick tour of the data hub in particular. We will be running another webinar Currently, as you'll have seen, there is 2023 and 2024 data in the Data Hub. That gets updated, as Jags mentioned, at the end of the year when our results are published. So the 2025 data will be going into there in spring. Once that's in there, we will send out a further invitation and we'll go through that in more depth. Because at that point, we guess you'll be wanting to get to grips with that. And that's the point where you can also see other people's data once it's published. Before then, we do only show you the data in the dashboard that is for your area. And if you want to see somebody else's data, then it's a question to that authority to ask them if they'd be willing to share it with you. But again, we'd suggest that is just on a one-to-one basis if they're happy to do that. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, we'd encourage the sharing of how the picture of passenger experience is growing with your bus operators within partnerships. And operators can have seen today how that is building in there. And we hope that that will support those conversations within partnerships as you work together to deliver those improvements for passengers. I've put the team's email address in the chat, so if there are any further points or questions that you may have, please do contact us there, yourbusjourney@transportfocus.org.uk. Thanks very much for your time today. This has been recorded and we'll make that available along with the slides to you. We look forward to continuing to work with you as the Your Bus Journey survey continues. And we do hope to be in contact with you very shortly in the next couple of weeks in terms of planning next year's survey for 2026. So look out for details about that. And also, as we get into the spring, we'll be letting you know about the details for publishing the results. And we look forward to sharing the results and the final reports with you. And your engagement managers will be in touch with you to talk those through as well. So if there's no final questions, I've not seen anything further come into the chat. It just remains for me to thank everybody that's been involved, and thank you again to Jags and to Jade, and thanks Becky for keeping an eye on the questions, and thanks to Colette for driving everything behind the scenes as well. If it's not too early, just to wish you a very happy Christmas for the forthcoming season, and thanks again for everybody joining us. Good afternoon.